If you as a farmer do not adapt, if you as a farmer do not change, if you as a farmer do not try new things, you are literally going to have to sell the family farm, and it's going to be all your fault. I see it all the time. Oh, I had to sell the family farm. Oh, I had to turn the lights off on the dairy farm. Want to know why? It wasn't the market. It wasn't the industry. It was your inability to foresee an issue coming 15 years prior and prepare for such a issue. And you're going to go, now wait a minute. What do you mean 15 years prior? How do you know what's going to happen 15 years from now? Well, I don't. But I'm not saying I know exactly what my personal issue is going to be 15 years down the road. I'm saying I know what some issues for me are going to be 15 years down the road. For example, 15 years down the road, that barn is probably not going to be there. I'm going to have to get a new one. I know that. There's an issue. Mr. Bully Bull, I'm going to have to replace at some point. I already know that. I know how to be prepared for that. If I want to grow the farm, I need more acres. I'm preparing for that. I'm in talks with neighbors to potentially graze some extra ground. Mr. Bully Bull is just going to scream and yell for no apparent reason. Well, what was that, sir? But those are the issues that these old guys are not addressing. You all talk about the young generation don't want to work, don't want to do this, can't do that, whatever. But we're the generation that's literally grabbing these family farms and making them work. There's a family farm out in Iowa that does pigs. They have hog barns. The dad started the business, but the boys are the ones that are accelerating the business. The boys are the ones that are helping the business. Instead of just taking their money and dumping it back into the farm, they're buying different things, starting their own direct-to-consumer meat business. You know, I'm not saying that's the only route you can go, but that is an option. There's so many things that these newer generations are able to help the older generation, but the older generation don't care. I hear this all the time. Well, it's worked for 40 years, doesn't it? Sure thing, sure did. So where's your horse-drawn plow? What? Where's your horse-drawn seeder? Well, I don't have one. So where is your horse-drawn combine at? I don't know what you're talking about. So it's worked for 40 years, but you're not still using horses. That doesn't make any sense. That's a contradiction in and of itself. By implying it's worked for 40 years, you are suggesting that the way you do things is the best way and nothing can change and nothing will be different. However, I just asked the question of, where's your horse-drawn plow? Where's your horse-drawn combine? Where's your family milk cow at? To then show you that you're a giant walking contradiction because you want to claim that you have to do everything the old way, yet you're not driving a horse to work every day. You're driving a car or a truck. You are not heating your home with coal anymore. You're using wood or natural gas or oil or propane. You are not going out and having to hunt for your food every day. You literally go to Walmart or Aldi and just buy grocery food, or you have your groceries out in your field licking frozen wood and scratching on frozen wood. So why is it that we get in these ruts? Why is it that we get stuck in these traps to where we assume that we're doing it the best way we can because it's worked for 40 years? That just doesn't even make sense. We don't drive the same cars that we were 40 years ago. We don't live in the same houses that we were 40 years ago. Now, yes, there were some things that were made better 40 years ago. I am not going to argue that fact. With newer planters, and I'm not even talking, let's just take equipment, for example. I'm not even talking a brand new John Deere or Case or a New Holland or whatever. I'm talking a brand new planter or a brand new plow or a brand new fertilizer spreader. Those are going to work 10 times better than the old stuff. You get a brand new planter with ExactEmerge stuff. That's a John Deere term. I don't know international stuff as well. You get a John Deere planter that can put fertilizer in with seed. You just saved yourself a tillage pass. You just saved yourself a fertilizer pass. Saved yourself diesel fuel. They make small row stuff for the average Joe. Well, that's expensive. Well, if you would have upgraded way long ago, instead of saying the same old junk will work, it wouldn't be that expensive. Your trade-in value on your junk you had for 15 years ain't nothing anymore. You can't get new stuff because you can't afford it, because that new stuff is what's going to make you money. You know, all these new technology and new things that cost extra money make you 10 times more. That's why the big guys do it. But because we want to do the same thing, oh, it's worked for 40 years. Well, what's the difference? Why change it? Well, if it's worked for 40 years, then why aren't you riding a horse to work? If it's worked for 40 years, why aren't you out here every day branding cows? You know, if it's worked for 40 years, why aren't you doing it then? Because it's only convenient when they want it to be convenient. Anyhow, guys, that was a bit of a rant. So hope you guys come back for the next rant. We'll see you later. Ain't that right, Murphy boy?